Did you ever experience sudden hostility out of the blue? Now I'm going to give a parable now to explain the following. In this parable, you have John, and John is locked up in a prison complex. He had to spend life in prison, due to his involvement in the murder of someone else. Now, John did not kill the other, but he is considered an accomplice because he didn't report the case. He didn't report things when things were going wrong. So the judge considered him responsible for the death of the victim, even though he was not the one that killed him. Okay, so John was there. He spent 10 years in jail already. He got used to life behind bars. He made it his home. Then one day, his fellow inmates turned on him. They began to look weird at him. They began to give him dirty looks. And he was thinking, what's going on, guys? We're all in this together. We all have to spend life in prison here. Nobody's ever going to get out. The guys, man, the following days, they began to throw food at him. One even tried to look for a fight with him. A prison guard had to intervene to prevent John from being attacked. John even had to be put in another cell for his own safety. All hell broke loose. Then one day John woke up. He didn't sleep very well, and the prison guards told him to change his clothes. He received new clothes. Clothes that were purchased anew from some store downtown. After he changed the clothes, they brought him to the exit. And I'm saying like this, the head of the prison was there, who handed him over a letter. He didn't have to sign anything. And the letter made plain that the governor granted him a royal pardon. He was granted amnesty. And, well, he walked out of jail, and they put him on a train towards the city. He even had the key to a locker, and when he arrived at the destination, he got out of the train, he went to the locker, and he opened it and saw it was a bag filled with money. And there was another key to an apartment. It was when he was on his way to the apartment, he realized, hold on a minute, what's going on here? I'm supposed to spend life in jail. But here I am, having a bag of money, dressed in common clothes, not in a prison uniform, walking towards my own apartment. An apartment I didn't even pay for. I don't even have a job yet. So John was very confused. He was very confused. The day after he got into his new apartment, he began to look for a job, and he found a job. The weird thing was, nobody could find anything about his time in jail. His whole record had been erased, as if he never spent time in jail before. He looked for information about his conviction when the judge sentenced him, but none of those records could be found. It was all gone. Then John encountered a civil servant. And he remembered the civil servant from 12 years ago. And the civil servant was happy to see him. And John asked him what was happening. The civil servant explained to him, John, the governor granted you amnesty on behalf of the king. That implies that your whole criminal record has been erased. And not only that, all the debts you had also were erased. Your account has been renewed. And then John remembered the, the last 2 weeks in jail, what type of hell he went through. And he talked about it to this civil servant. And the civil servant explained unto him, John, those guys in jail knew you received amnesty. Have you noticed that on that amnesty declaration, the date was 2 months in advance, 2 months before you were released from jail? And then John realized, hold on a minute, that's true. The civil servant told him, John, you had received amnesty for over a month and a half before the staff of that prison was willing to obey the order and release you out of jail. Because the staff did not want to let you go. The staff was talking about it, so the inmates found out, and the inmates were furious that you received amnesty, while they had to spend all their lives till they die in that jail. So they began to take out their anger on you. They were upset that you received amnesty. They couldn't handle it. They wanted you to die in jail with them, but because they knew that it was just a matter of time before you would be free out there, and not only would you be free out there, you would also be compensated for all the years you spent in jail. When they found out all about this, they lost it. Some of those inmates even tried to kill you. When things really got out of hand, the head of the prison knew, it's enough. I need to get this man out of here, because if this man dies in here, we are all in very big trouble. People did not want to accept your amnesty. They did not want to accept your freedom. They did not want to accept your deliverance. But when you were delivered, they tried to undo your deliverance as much as possible. Now, that was the parable. I hope you understand already what I'm saying here. When you are delivered, demons will rage when they find out you've been delivered from death and poverty. Physical death, your body will go through, just like everyone else. But with death in general, I mean destruction. If you've been delivered from destruction and poverty, I am telling you, demons, when they find out that you've been delivered, they turn on you. They'll rage against you. And not only demons, common people in general, when they realize that you are not bound to their fear, they'll throw their fright on you. They'll project their mess on you. They'll go off at you. They do. I mentioned it before in a previous video. Common people in general don't want you to be prosperous. They don't. Common people are just like those inmates in jail that were locked up together with that John. But the weird thing is, and here's what gets interesting. The royal pardon was granted to each one of those prison inmates. So individually, each one of them received amnesty. But the amnesty did not enter into practice for them because they did not agree with the terms of the amnesty. And actually there was just only one term. The one term of the amnesty declaration was they had to agree with the justice of the country. So they had to comply with the justice of the country. If they would just do that one thing, everything else would be arranged for them. Their new apartment, their new job, The whole record would have been erased, so everything would work out for them automatically if they just would have agreed with the amnesty declaration. But there's the thing, many people in that jail heard about amnesty declarations, but they laughed it off. They were proud. Their identity was based in that prison. Everything about them related to that prison. So for them to be out of that prison means they would have to give up that, how would I say, they would have to give up the relief that they're holding on to. Their power position in that prison society, they would lose it. And they would have to become just like everyone else in society. They don't want that. They don't want to lose those prison privileges. So they had no interest in amnesty. And not only that, if they would have agreed with the amnesty declaration, it means that they would have been obliged to comply with justice, which would have been obliged to contribute to the local community by being active and by valuing the lives of everyone else in the community too. And because they were narcissistic, they were only concerned with their own comfort, this whole idea of them being dethroned from their own so-called private lives and now having to invest their existence for the well-being of those around them, that whole idea was a horror unto them because they were completely self-centered. So though to their pride, they refused the amnesty declarations. This John, however, accepted the amnesty declaration. But here's the thing. He wasn't even aware he accepted the amnesty declarations. It worked like this. One day, a civil servant came to the prison, and the civil servant asked him if he was willing to accept freedom if he would agree to comply with justice. And he made plain he would do it. And this admission, this agreement with justice, which meant saying yes to the amnesty declarations, that was his signature. So when the civil servant reported this, the amnesty declaration became active on his behalf. And from that moment on, the governor signed the amnesty declaration. So he went into full force, and the folks around him had to let him go. But they did not want to let him go. They didn't. That's why there was this big fight against him. Now, the same way, when you agree with Christ and begin to walk by faith, do not think it strange when suddenly a lot of folks have issues with you. They can't stand the life and abundance you operate in because they are attached to destruction and poverty. And because they are attached to destruction and poverty, they want you to be bound to destruction and poverty just like they are. But because you refuse to join their self-destruction and finance and sponsor their self-destruction, because you refuse to do that, they have issues with you. So now they want to make things hard on you. Now all their heaviness, they want you to carry it because they are against you walking in life and abundance. This may sound very weird, but that's how common people in general are. Well, I hope this parable was clear and obvious to you. Agree with Christ.